bit of advice that I've picked up through years of broadcasting, but if you're tonguing the mic, you're too close.
Yeah, that's...
Nope. I cannot tongue the mic.
Don't lick first off, that was a promo. Second off, the second thing I learned on day one of broadcasting is don't lick the pop filter.
Oh. Wait, how did you learn this? And I...
let me give you one other piece of advice. I'm just full of it so far tonight. In the words of every extreme sports enthusiast, if it looks good, you go first.
And those are words to grow on.
I mean, there are follow-up questions that I will not ask. Instead, I'm just going to say, let's go to the music and pretend that we never had this cursed conversation.
Man.
Jesus Christ.
I can't unsee people who've been in the booth before me after the licking the pop filter comment. I can't unsee that.
It is like, I know there have been two people in this booth, and even if I was the only person who's been in this booth, I would not want to lick this pop filter.
No, exactly. Dude, I know how much I yell into this microphone. I know. I don't want to swab it and find out exactly what's there, too.
Yeah.
I think I need to go find the OxyClean.
Get the black lights out of the booth. I'm just going to be sad.
You're done. Get them out the booth.
Yeah, the booth, bro. Listener, speaking of being sad, this is the Fairly KickAss podcast.
Ooh, it's going to be a hot one tonight, boys.
Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. You're here with the usual assholes. You got Zach, you got Jay, you got Dan, and we have a special guest host. For those of you who have been fans of the show for a while, you have certainly witnessed the greatness that is the one and only Lisa, who is joining us today for our 2025, the 67th Grammy Awards preview.
Yep, I get paid to stare at the ballot these days, so why not share the knowledge?
We did a similar show last year and probably the year before that as well. I feel like this one is less varied, but more interesting than previous incarnations.
And I think I know exactly why you're saying that.
I'm not sure why. Like, specifically, there's so little variance, and we'll just kind of get into some of the meat and potatoes of all the lists. Like, if you look at the big four that we're going to be covering today: Record of the Year, Album of the Year, Song of the Year, and Best New Artist, we're going to cover what all those mean as well. But if you look at the lists, they're almost carbon copies of one another.
Yeah.
But there is still a lot of intrigue in terms of there's not necessarily one artist or one song or album that you look at and say, that one, that's going to be the one. Like, it could be a number of them. And I'm excited to hear what y'all think on the various topics.
Me too. I'm looking forward to it.
So where would you gentlemen like to start?
Well, I think before we begin, Lisa, as the kind of resident expert of the craft of the Grammy Awards, we always like to make sure that we understand what each of the things mean. And I forget literally every year. So if you could give us a quick primer on at least the difference between record, album, and song of the year for the listeners and me to really know what we're looking at.
Okay. The main difference between Record of the Year and Song of the Year is Song of the Year goes to the songwriter, Record of the Year goes to the performer, and those are single track awards, and then Album of the Year is the whole enchilada, the whole album.
And then Best New Artist is self-explanatory. It's the Best New Artist.
Is it? I would like it to be.
Yeah.
Well, more to...
Yeah.
The Grammys' definition of new, of a quote-unquote entering prominence, or their definition of new isn't exactly what I would consider new, but I digress.
I really would like to see like a set of written, like what do you mean by new? Because literally the record that Sabrina Carpenter has been nominated for, all these things, it's her 6th album.
Yeah.
Well, according to the, as I read the Grammy ballot, Best New Artist. This category recognizes an artist whose eligibility year release achieved a breakthrough into the public consciousness and notably impacted the musical landscape. That's how they have it.
Fair enough. In Sabrina Carpenter's case, since that's the one Dan brought up, I would suggest that it did one of those two things. It definitely had more of an impact on the musical landscape than her previous releases, but she started on Disney.
Yes. I mean, that's also a thing too. But no, yeah.
Whatever. She's nominated. We're going to run with this.
Does it count if you were the subject of a Grammy-winning song from the past?
I don't think so. I think you actually have to be the one performing it.
I think they should be able to take into personal drama too.
I like the way you think.
I mean, if we're going to get sloppy, let's get sloppy.
Well, we are going to be going back to the Best New Artist probably to end us here. Yeah. But let's get started with one of the heavier hitters. Let's start with Record of the Year. As Lisa mentioned, this is a single song category for the song itself, not for the songwriters. We'll go through the nominees real quick and then kind of open it up for the discussion. So we have Now and Then by the Beatles. We have Texas Hold'em by Beyonce. We have Espresso by the aforementioned Sabrina Carpenter. We have 360 from Charlie XCX. We have Birds of a Feather from Billie Eilish. We have Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar. Good Luck Babe by Chappell Rowan. And Fortnite by Taylor Swift and her Cabal featuring Post Malone.
Gee, which one of these tracks sticks out like a ginormous sore thumb?
Yeah, and it's what I was leaning toward when Zach was saying less varied but more interesting. We have a Beatles track nominated for Record of the Year in 2025.
Well, this is allegedly the last one.
Sure. It is the one that stands out in a weird way.
I mean, it's the Grammys. We still have old people voting, so I mean...
That was my question. Like, do you think it has a shot of actually winning Record of the Year?
I think the only way this could happen, and this would be so extreme, there would have to be a massive vote split between some of these songs for that to happen.
Okay.
That would be a tremendously massive vote split for sure. Plus, Now and Then would have to get votes too.
Yeah, I mean, Don't get me wrong. I mean, I like it. As a Beatles fan, I like it. But compared to the rest of the songs on this list, but here's the question. If you took that song out, what song would you have put in its place?
Oh, honestly, like I could have a list of like 90 that I would think of. But I'm not complaining about its presence on the list.
No,
it is weird,
absolutely not. I think this is one where it's an honor just to be nominated.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Because the other one that sticks out to me for a completely different reason, it is a whole new caliber of diss track when it gets nominated for Record of the Year.
Yeah. And honestly, like I have my list marked in what I think will win and what I want to win, separated out. And I think Kendrick's going to take it. I think that's the one that, I mean, it would be hard to think of a song this year that had more of an impact.
Yeah.
And he's the one that performed it, wrote it, did everything. So I really feel like that's probably his to lose.
And I believe the Grammys are happening the week before the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to have all of that momentum.
Yeah.
If Chappell Roan's nomination was for Hot to Go, I would have been saying this is Chappell's, but not Good Luck Babe.
Or even the Pink Pony Club. I think Good Luck Babe was wrong.
Yeah, that was not the pick.
Yeah, I agree with you, with both of you on Kendrick kind of being the one, mainly because if you look at the other two categories, which we'll get into more shortly, Kendrick not nominated for Album of the Year, little spoiler, is nominated for Song of the Year. But since that's a songwriting category, like you're basically saying that his absolute takedown of Drake was the best songwriting of the year. And while I don't disagree with that, I don't think that's necessarily in the spirit of the Grammys either.
Well, you have to remember GNX came out way after the eligibility cutoff. So
Yeah.
next year, I would expect to see him get an album of the year nod.
And I think it's going to be hard to top. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how many hip hop albums have won album of the year.
One.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, are we in something of an agreement on what we think is going to win it? Like, is this the first time? Do we have like a unanimous consensus here? Dan, you have been very quiet.
Well, I will say at least that the three of us, I think, are in lockstep. But we are going to have to look at the numbers too, because we do have some Vegas numbers. We do have some for the betting crowd. So let me go ahead and throw it from the Slippy Jimmy's Industrial Lubricant and Totally Legal Sportsbook desk. It is Dan. Let us know what the numbers are looking like, if we're in the right ballpark or if things are trending in a different direction.
Alrighty, thank you, Zach. Taking a look at the record of the year nominees from the Slippy Jimmy's Industrial Lubricant and Totally Legal Sportsbook desk. Slippy Jimmy's, that's quality you can trust. No, really, our lawyers actually let us say that in public. If we're following to what the bettors are saying, that y'all are completely wrong. Because this category is Sabrina's to lose, not Kendrick's, as she comes in as the minus 225 favorite. But here's the thing: despite coming in as the strongest favorite that we'll talk about in the Big Four, I'm very uneasy about this as an actual bet, and Kendrick is a strong reason for that. However, the money's been moving away from Billie Eilish, who came in as a much closer second underdog. Birds of a Feather right now is right behind it, plus 325, which is a strong underdog. My guess is that Vegas is thinking there's no way you have as big a year as Carpenter has had, only to get completely shut out of all the major categories. And this seems like the best place to slot in a win for her. That still doesn't make me confident. If I'm taking this one at all, I'm adding her into like a high risk parlay where I'm only going to put a couple bucks to hope to get big. As I mentioned, the next favorite is Billie Eilish's Birds of a Feather. The only nominee who's won this in this category before, and seems like she could possibly be the only challenger to record here. But as I mentioned, money's been moving away. Right behind her is Kendrick and Not Like Us. That's plus 350. And I'm honestly with you. I'm a little surprised he's not closer to the front, but my guess, if I had to be one, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, is that he'll get song, not record. The app is absolute opposite of what Zach was talking about.
Yep.
But hey, look, I could be wrong. Those horns are absolutely iconic now. And by that, I mean, I heard a college basketball pep band playing it just 3 days ago. In the middle of the pack, actually, the Beatles Now and Then comes in at plus 1,000, and I don't think there's enough nostalgia juice to bring them a win here. A category the group's never won, despite having been nominated 4 previous times.
Wow.
Coming back in, plus 1,200, Beyonce and Texas Hold'em. Again, it's nice to be nominated, but it's not where her focus will be. The album will be where she shines here. You mentioned Chappell Roan and Good Luck Babe, also plus 1,200. But here's the thing. I also agree that if it was hot to go, you have a much different race. But I'll take her as a dark horse pick because it's an uphill battle for sure. But this song actually has all the things that Grammy voters look for and has been kindly pushed to the background. So don't be shocked if there's a possible upset here. Taylor and Posty come in at plus 1,200. Then Poor Charlie XCX and 360 way back at plus 2,500. Is a dark horse for a reason. Unfortunately, she's not going to get the nod here.
That's all right. I'd drop 50 cents on that bet.
50 cents to, I guess, win what, 125? Sure.
Yeah.
Worth a shot.
Oh, man.
And that's how things are sliding along at the Slippy Jimmy's desk. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Dan. That was a excellent synopsis of where the money's moving for any of you guys who do want to throw in a 50 cents, a Curtis Jackson of your own. Just please bet wisely. Listen to us. We will not steer you wrong. That's nothing legal about that, by the way.
No.
Nope.
Let's go to the second category up for bids. We talked about the record. Now let's talk about the writers in Song of the Year. I'll go through the list here and you're going to hear a lot of overlap, but there are going to be a couple of newbies too. We have returning from the Record of the Year list is Birds of a Feather, of course, by Billie Eilish, Fortnite, Taylor and Posty, Good Luck Babe, Chapel Rowan, Not Like Us, as we were just speaking of, Kendrick Lamar, and Texas Hold'em from Beyonce. The newcomers that were not on the Record of the Year list include a bar song, Tipsy by Shabuzi, Die with a Smile, Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars. We have Sabrina Carpenter, but not Espresso, interestingly enough. We have a Please, Please, Please nominated for Song of the Year. So that is a total of 8. What do y'all feel about the 8-pack here? Do you think we're going to get another nod for Kendrick, or a nod for Kendrick Lamar? Do you think that we're going to go a different direction?
I think it's Kendrick.
I think it's Gaga and Bruno, because that's riding the chart momentum as we speak. How that didn't get a Record of the Year nomination is beyond me. I think that's the spot that could have been taken over if they bumped the Beatles out.
Or Charlie XCX, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the same way from Record of the Year, like as much as I want Sabrina Carpenter to win Record of the Year with Espresso, I really think she has a better shot at winning with Please, Please, Please. Now, Dan may correct me if he gives us, what is it, Slippy Jimmy's results. But I still think it's Kendrick's.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting category. I do see what Lisa is saying as far as the polling on the charts right now. Die with a Smile sitting at numero uno for the last 3 weeks here, 22 weeks total on the chart. Obviously, Not Like Us had completely blown up the charts when it had its run in the heyday back a few months ago. So, yeah, interesting times abound. I don't know which one of you that I would agree with. So I'm going to agree with neither of you and just throw a curveball and say it's going to be I'm going to say that this is the Chapel Roan category. I'm going to say Good Luck Babe is going to reign supreme. Maybe there's going to be some vote splitting between Kendrick and Lady Gaga, and Chapel is certainly primed to take this one down.
Well, my other train of thought is, since Die with a Smile didn't get a Record of the Year nomination, maybe this is the consolation prize that they give them. Oops, our bad.
I do wonder that, like, for ones that are nominated in both categories versus just one, if there is more of a emphasis for, hey, you didn't even get a nom over here, so let's just, let's throw you the bone, let's throw you the booby prize in this other place. But as much as we claim to know, we don't know nearly as much as the Sharps do. So let me go ahead and throw it to you, coming from the Det 247 action so hot you can irrigate a radish farm with the sweat from your undercarriage studios. Once again, it's Dan. Let us know what the Vegas Sharps are thinking about Record of the Year, Dan. Or, sorry, Song of the Year.
Well, thank you again, Zach. Here exactly is how everything lines up in the Song of the Year category from the Det 24/7 action so hot you could irrigate a radish farm with the sweat from your undercarriage studios. All you need to know about the app is right there in the name, also radishes. And it's interesting to see the widespread of opinions both here, because it's also the same for a lot of the reviewers and other people writing predictions. But the books feel completely the opposite and still have Billie Eilish and Birds of a Feather in a relatively strong favorite position at minus 190. Like I said, the writers just aren't predicting a third win for her and Phineas in this category. And again, because there's such a wide range of opinions, this is another favorite that I'm shying away from if I had to make a call. I'm shying towards the number 2 favorite, Not Like Us, at plus 245, because I would have pegged this as the easiest call of the night. Billy and Phineas are a big mountain to climb, though, and I will take this bet because there's no way that Not Like Us does not win one of these nominations. Die with a Smile is behind it at plus 500, and it's been surging over the last month or so. That, time spent atop the Hot 100 probably won't hurt, but I would give them better chances in the pop duo group race after all. Good Luck Babe right behind it at plus 900, also making a surge in some circles, but that's, again, there's a lot of big in front of them. And I even wrote, if they had picked Hot to Go, I think we're having a different conversation in this one as well. Beyonce in the participation category as well at plus 900. Sabrina Carpenter's Please, Please, Please is all the way down here at plus 1,000. It is also interesting. This is the third separate track of hers that is nominated. I don't see that helping her here, although this is my favorite of that trio. She may have to settle for sweeping through the pop categories this go around. Bringing up the rear, Shabuzi at plus 1,400. It's hard to wonder how it was one of the most popular tracks of the last year, and it's just not being felt by bettors. I don't see a surprise jump. And Taylor in a position that she's not used to in this category. Well, she is used to it. This is the 8th time she's been nominated for Song of the Year, and never won it, and probably not going to this year. Her and Posty are plus 1,600 dogs. And that is what Song of the Year looks like here in the Undercarriage Studios, where you'll ask, are my drawers too hot, or is that all the action at Det 247, guys?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little surprised that Taylor Swift is behind Shabuzi on that one. That surprises me.
Because the song is boring.
Oh, agreed. I'm not denying that.
Because the record is boring.
It is. But I'm a little surprised because Shabuzi is such a left field pick for this category.
Right.
And Taylor Swift is sort of a perennial pick for this category. So like I don't know.
Sort of, but if we're going to use comparisons and push Die with a Smile because it's number one right now, Shabuzi was number one for like all of 2024.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if that's what we're looking at, the only reason it didn't continue into December is because of Mariah Carey. So
I'm just envisioning the hissy fit that Drake has if Kendrick wins anything for Not Like Us.
It's the lawsuits.
I am rooting for it.
Oh, I'm sure we all are.
Set the world on fire. I don't care.
Yeah, Shabuzi maybe not as much of a left field pick, considering that he did get 4 additional nominations besides Song of the Year. So
yeah, two of them were for country, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, we got Best New Artist, which we'll get to. We got Best Remixed Recording, Non-Classical, Best Melodic Rap Performance, and then your Best Country Solo Performance. Only one of the 5 is country-centric.
All right.
Or no, I'm sorry. A Bar Song was also nominated for Best Country Song, so 2 of the 5.
Okay. That's what I thought, but I wasn't looking at it.
Yeah, that's Beyonce leading the pack, by the way, in that category with 11 nominations. So be interesting to see how many of those she brings home with a variety of songs, as Dan had mentioned. From the album Cowboy Carter, which happens to be one of the albums nominated for Album of the Year, our next category. Joining Beyonce in that illustrious list is New Blue Sun by Andre 3000, Short and Sweet from Sabrina Carpenter, of course, Brat, Charlie XCX, Jesse Volume 4 from Jacob Collier, perhaps also one that's a little bit out of left field.
Yeah.
Billie Eilish with Hit Me Hard and Soft, Chapel Rowan, The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess, and as we discussed, the Tortured Poets Department from none other than Taylor Swift. What do y'all think about the full body of work for these artists on these albums? Do you think we're going to see any repeats from Song or Record of the Year, or are we going in a different direction?
I'm thinking, well, I have a couple thoughts. One, with the Andre 3000, if that it's basically a new age album. If Andre 3000 was not the person who made that record, would this have even been nominated at all for Album of the Year?
No.
Probably not.
No.
Probably not.
So that's a slot. I mean, the Grammys always have like those oddballs. And if Beige was an album, it's the Tortured Poets Department. And that's an insult to Beige. I'm sorry, Swifties. It's not good. It's a snooze fest.
It's not her worst album, but it is far from on the list of her best.
No. And I'm looking at this list and just based on, I'm thinking this is finally the year they give it to Beyonce, because I know that Jay-Z flat out called them out at a Music Hair, was it a Music Cares event or something Grammy adjacent, and Jay-Z basically called out the Grammys for not giving her the Album of the Year award.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think that's Beyonce's category. I think Cowboy Carter takes this one home. As much as I would love to see, I mean, I know I've been fangirling all over Sabrina Carpenter, but I honestly would rather see someone like Billie Eilish win this one. I think those are the two that I would like to win, but I think it's Beyonce's.
Now, if we were talking about the album with the best song titles of the year, then we are going to go back and give it to Andre 3000.
Yeah.
As an example, I'm not going to go through all of them because we'd be here for a while because they're all a million words long. But I would like to direct your attention to track 3, titled That Night in Hawaii, When I Turned Into a Panther and Started Making These Low Register Purring Tones That I Couldn't Control. Shit was wild.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
You can't beat that.
It's a lovely album. It's a beautiful album. It's a very calming album. But again, if this was any other new age artist, if it was not Andre 3000, this would not have gotten an Album of the Year nomination. Period.
Agreed.
Absolutely agreed. Yeah, that and Jesse Volume 4, which was also a cool, fun album, but it's certainly, I feel like those two, if I had to guess at what the Vegas bettors are saying, those are probably going to be at the bottom of the list.
My guess is you don't have to guess, though.
We do not have to guess, my friend, because I will go ahead and send it back to Dan at the Sportsbook Desk, brought to you by the hit far off Broadway sensation Nachos on Ice. Dan, let us know if we're in the ballpark.
Thank you, Zach. Back here at the Sportsbook Desk where the action is so fast and furious, I don't even have time to write a parody verse to go with the show to make this bit work. Instead, though, I will give you the odds for the albums of the year, and I'll just knock out the bottom two, which you just said that, yes, Jesse Volume 4, the longest shot so far, plus 3,300. That's the longest odds that we have in these top 4. Let this one long go. New Blue Sun is right up there at plus 2,200. Is there any dark horse potential? I'd love to say yes. I really would. Like, I did listen to the record. Andre's unique creative energy here. I mean, look, it warrants a look. It's not going to be for everybody. And unfortunately, it's also not going to be for Grammy voters. So you go ahead and skip that one in there. The next longest, though, is short and sweet. Sabrina Carpenter back here at plus 1,200. And as I said earlier, her glory will be claimed elsewhere on this night with that record. The little bit of a surprise possibly is the rise and fall of the Midwest Princesses, Chappell Roan, coming in at plus 1,100. Still has a shot to be the first winner with their debut album since Billie Eilish did it 5 years ago, but it's a long one. The ones with an actual shot coming up with this, and at plus 600, Charlie XCX comes in with Brat, my pick for record of the year, but that should tell you that it's probably not going to win. I'm falling short of faith when it comes to the books. If you're looking for a dark horse pick, though, I would look at Charlie. The numbers are pretty much right on here. There's a value in that bet. The surprise I think a lot of people are still sitting at is Cowboy Carter next at plus 300. As everyone has said, she's overdue for a win, even if Cowboy Carter isn't her best record. A win here would be the first country record to take this prize since Casey Musgrave's Golden Hour 6 years ago, which I shouldn't be as surprising. But maybe it is also the fact that so many have publicly called them out for not giving her this prize is why they may not give her the prize. So our second favorite coming in at plus 190 is the Tortured Poets Department. Could this be her record extending fifth win? Well,
No.
The money always follows the champ, right? There's a reason the Chiefs are, they're the second favorite to win the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
They're behind Philly?
Yeah.
Well, shoot holes in that one. The thing is over the last couple weeks, Taylor's closed the gap on Billy this week, so this could actually be a race, which means Hit Me Hard and Soft is your favorite in the clubhouse. But favorite is an interesting way to put it because at minus 115, that's essentially a pick 'em. While most of the talk has been centered between Beyonce and Swift, Billie Eilish has kind of come up there, but that does make me feel uneasy as a better. There's value elsewhere in this category, or ultimately just skip the album of the year this go around. But I'd also like to point out that I'm pretty sure we were sure she was going to be doing some sweeping last year or 2 years ago. And I believe she then got shut out of the Big Four. So it's also possible that we are completely wrong. In fact, it's more than possible. I'd almost guarantee it. That's where everything sits over here at the Sportsbook Desk, brought to you by Nachos on Ice. The show's so good, we can't tell you where to get tickets, not because they're sold out, but we just don't know where. Zach?
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you again for that perfect dissertation there, Dan. And one thing I will say, just piggybacking off of your dark horse or one of your dark horses, I have not seen anything about a Cowboy Carter summer. I've not seen anything about a Hit Me Hard and Soft summer. Heard a lot about a Brat summer, though.
Truth.
Get to your local bookie. Make some money. Thank us later.
And honestly, this is probably the first time in a long time that I care so very little about which artist wins this award. I would like to see Billie or Sabrina win this one. I'm a huge fan of both of them, but it's fine if Charlie wins it, and it's fine if Beyonce wins it. I don't love that album. I really don't think it should be Tay Tay.
No, I agree. Like, I can't say anything. Like all the other albums, I can't say anything bad about them. Like I enjoyed them, but I just listening to the Tortured Poets Department is a slog. It is just my husband. My husband made me listen to that in the car, and I'm just sitting here. So for those who don't know, my husband has a thing for the indie rock chick with a guitar. So this is like the closest album to that. And it was a slog. I'm like, if I was driving and listening to this album, I would not stay awake.
Well, we will see if the voters are able to stay awake here as we get to the Grammy Awards. By the way, those awards coming at you on Sunday, June 2nd.
June?
Did I say June?
Yes, did.
Holy shit. We're not even going to edit. I'm not even going to hope that gets edited out because there's no chance. For anyone who is listening to this episode in the summer, you know that the Grammys already happened. I meant February. It's at February 2nd.
It's just wishful thinking. You want summer.
I guess I'm ready for something new, something that's a little bit different than the current state. And speaking of that, I've got plenty of artists that are also a little bit different from the current state, including some artists you haven't heard of, and at least one artist who released an album in 2015. Let's go through the list real quick. Best New Artist, we have Benson Boone, that 2015 album coming from Sabrina Carpenter, who I think, Jay, you mentioned this is her 6th album that just came out, short and sweet. We have Doechii, we have Ray, we have Chappell Roan once again, Shabuzi, we have Teddy Swims, and I saved this one for last because I didn't look at how to pronounce it. Shame on me. I've heard this at least 100 times, and I don't know how to pronounce it. Harangbin, I hope that is correct. I'm sure it is not. Another artist that is absolutely not at all new, but is in the Best New Artist category.
I think they've actually made your honorable mentions list a few times over the last couple of years.
They have indeed. Krungbin, not Krangbin. Shame on me. I should know how to pronounce music that I like. But yes, those are your best new, in air quotes, artists. Is this Sabrina's car? Does Sabrina have a category on this list, or is this going to go in a different direction?
She can't. She's not going to win this one.
Absolutely not. No. This is Chappell's to lose.
I agree 100%. I think this is Chappell's category. She's been crushing it this year and is actually a new artist. So I think this is where that goes. As much as I would love to see it go to Ray, I mean, y'all know how I feel about Ray. This is where she lives. This should be her category to win. She didn't release an album this year, which I think does not work in her favor. She's been on a couple of singles, but no albums. And that's going to work against her, whereas Chappell Roan has been everywhere.
Yeah. I think the only other name on this list that could even remotely give Chappell a run for her money, and this is a long shot, and that's a big if, the Nashville voting bloc gets behind Shabuzi, which I don't know if I see that happening, but he had the dominant song of the year. That would be the only other artist that I could even remotely think of that could give Chappell a run for her money.
Yeah.
I think I agree with you on that one. I do also think if I have no idea what Dan's about to tell us from whatever random desk he's sitting at right this time. But I think the TikTok or the application of how effective TikTok is this year, Benson Boone is actually a potential dark horse here.
Interesting.
Because up until summer, he was the only artist that was being played on TikTok.
Yeah, his album Fireworks and Rollerblades coming out in April of 24, peaking at number 6 on the Billboard 200. So no slouch from a voter standpoint.
I do think our memories are short, and that's a long time ago, which doesn't work in his favor either, but that's a potential dark horse. I don't think it's going to be enough to dethrone Chappell, though.
I will say
You know?
more than most categories that Best New Artist, when there is an artist that is more popular, does tend to trend more as a popularity contest. That could be more so because the other big three categories are usually just chock full of popular artists. But looking at some of the previous winners in the last several years, Olivia Rodrigo, Megan Thee Stallion, of course, Billie Eilish, Dua Lipa, those bigger stars that are bigger at the time of nomination tend to typically take the award. But of course, with Sabrina and Chapel, we have two of those now. So perhaps we do have a split. Perhaps we do have someone like Benson or Shabuzi who can kind of slide in and steal this one out from under the rug. But, again, we have to find out what the pulse of the betting populace is in this category. So for the final time from the crazy underdog, just giving them your dollars betting cage, it is Dan. What is the vibe of the people? Are they going Chapel? Are they going in a different direction? Let us know.
Well, thanks, Zach. If you haven't done it just yet, now's the time to throw your cash at Crazy Underdog because you'd be crazy to take dogs this long. Yes, I had to practice that line, so I didn't say dongs. Damn. Never mind. The lines for the best new artists go exactly as you think they do. Chapel Roan is the favorite going away at -200, has a big early lead. It's normalized some, even though the numerical favorite isn't necessarily as big. This is also the easiest pick. It's not worth mentioning anyone else besides Sabrina and Doechii as well. Sabrina should rake the pop category, and Doechii should have some serious consideration. But ultimately, I think they'll fall well short. And that popularity contest is where that may fall into. Sabrina behind her, the next favorite at +220. There's some value in the bet there, as well as Doechii at 250. Everybody else in quad digits. Ray and Shabuzi are at +1,400. Benson, Boone, and Teddy Swims at +2,500. And Krungbin all the way at the back at +3,300. And with that, I believe that's the feds calling, so it's time to shut off the lights of the Crazy Underdog just giving us all your cash betting cage. Gambling problem? Call 1-800. Join the club. We meet at the bar. Zach.
I'll be there. I'm probably the first member of that club. Jesus Christ. So yeah, that is the perspective of the group. That is the perspective of Vegas. We give you both perspectives here on the Fairly KickAss podcast. But it's not just the big four. When we're talking about the Grammys, we are talking about a host of different categories. And there are going to be a few that are kind of those second, third tier categories that you'll hear about. You're not going to hear about most of them, at least on the broadcast, but there are at least a couple that we wanted to very quickly point out just to get a little something different than some of the more popular categories. So let's start with one that we were discussing prior to the show, and that is in the rock, metal, and alternative category, the Grammy for the Best Metal Performance. We have... gosh, can I pronounce most of these? We're going to try. We have Mea Culpa by Gojira, Marina Viati, and Victor Lemond. We have Crown of Horns by Judas Priest. That one was easy. Suffocate by Knocked Loose featuring Poppy. We have Screaming Suicide by Metallica. And we have Cellar Door by Spiritbox. Jay, I think we mentioned that this was kind of more your wheelhouse than anyone else's. What are you liking? What are you thinking?
Well, what am I liking? I would love for Gojira to win a Grammy. I think that would be just the best thing that has happened. It won't.
Well, they performed at the Olympics.
They did, and that's true. That works in their favor. But they've been nominated before, and it's just brushed aside. Like this isn't new for them. Although of all of the years that they've been nominated, they do, I think, have a better shot this year. I do really like the Knocked Loose and Poppy tune, Suffocate. I wish it was just Poppy. I'm not a huge fan of Knocked Loose. Poppy's amazing, however. And my favorite thing on this list that I actually would love to see win is Spiritbox. They don't get enough credit for what they do. Spiritbox is awesome.
Agreed. 100,000%.
But I think it's going to Metallica.
Then that is exactly why when we started, I said, I want to get your opinion on this and see how we feel, because I think we fell pretty much in line. Because as I'm listening through, I'm like, well, it's Metallica. They're going to get it again because it's Metallica. I really want it to go to Gojira.
Yeah.
Same.
And second with that for me would be Spiritbox. It was okay on Suffocate and Crown of Horns. I mean, it's a pre-song.
Yep. It's fine. It's perfectly fine.
I mean,
It's a pretty song.
Yep.
are the Grammys just going to forever try to make it up to Metallica for not giving them the first metal Grammy?
I mean, yeah, they had to, but I think by now they probably have.
I mean, you can
I don't
only
know.
say I'm sorry so many times.
I don't know. I think I would love for it to be either Spirit Box or Gojira, but my opinions tend to not matter at all.
Like I said,
I mean,
I am 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You have 10 Grammys. I think they've said I'm sorry to Metallica.
No.
If the Grammys were apologizing to me on behalf of Metallica, they would apologize for screwing up all of the equipment and basically making what was going to be an amazing performance with Lady Gaga of Moth into Flame into something that was not nearly as great.
Borderline unlistenable.
FNA,
Yes.
man. FNA.
Yeah. They made it work, but holy shit, that could have been so much more awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking of awesome, maybe, question mark. We also, before the show, talked about some of the country categories and just some of the interests there. Should we go through? I'll leave it up to the group. Best country solo performance or best country song? What do y'all like better to chat about?
Let's do song.
Okay. Song it is. I think song is probably a little more widely varied within the country sphere. We have The Architect from Casey Musgraves. We have a bar song, Tipsy Once Again, of course, by Shabuzi. We have I Am Not Okay by Jelly Roll. I Had Some Help, which is Post Malone featuring Morgan Wallen. And we have Texas Hold'em, as you... yeah, that's Grumble. And Texas Hold'em, of course, from Beyonce, one of her 11 nominations. Yeah, I feel like this has to be Beyonce, right? Like, is it just a Beyonce sweep of the country categories that she's in, or what do y'all think?
Well, I think this is probably going to be her best shot because, and I may be remembering this incorrectly, I do believe the country categories are open to all voters. So everybody can vote on those categories. And this would basically be giving the middle finger to the CMAs and the ACMs who didn't even bother to nominate her at all. I think if for some reason it doesn't go to her, I could see it going to a bar song, but this has got to be Beyonce's to lose.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree.
I agree with you, but only because but I don't like that I agree with you. I would, for me, the cooler thing that could happen is if Shabuzi wins this one. I also would be okay if Jelly Roll won, and Casey Musgraves is a Grammy favorite. So I really think as long as Morgan Wallen doesn't win a fucking Grammy, I'm okay.
Word. Yes. Amen, brother. And I just noticed when we were talking about the rock categories next to metal is the other nomination for Now and Then for best rock song. I think that's the one the Beatles take home.
I agree. I have that mark too, but I want that to be Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
This is the last Beatles song, Jeremy. They're never going to do any more.
Yeah, but the song is not like it's on that list. It's the 4th best song out of 6.
Thanks. Yeah. Quick dark horse for best rock song, Broken Man, St. Vincent.
Yeah.
Killer track. Great music video.
Gift Horse, Idols, like cool tune.
Is it enough?
Let me pull it backwards 2 minutes to disagree with y'all first.
Please.
I didn't get into country on this one, but I don't see that happening. That the song goes to Shabuzi.
Okay.
Because Texas Hold'em isn't the strong song. 16 Carriages wins solo performance.
Agreed.
Two Most Wanted wins duo performance, and Cowboy Carter wins best album, which is actually also the only one I found numbers for, and that's a -200 favorite. Like, which is think about this too as you think about this is the two on top of the odds are Beyonce and Post Malone with Chris Stapleton on the outside and Casey Musgraves and Lainey Wilson way out there in the plus 1,000 and below, because country still does not have a problem with female artists or African American ones,
which is so bizarre because right now Lainey Wilson is like one of the darlings of country music. God, was it?
Stratospheric, yeah.
Because didn't she win the Entertainer of the Year at the ACMs? She won a big one. And I want to say it was Entertainer of the Year at the ACMs.
I would not at all be surprised if she did.
So I find it, but that just tells you the disconnect between the Grammy voting body and what Music Row in Nashville wants to award and celebrate.
Yeah, Lainey Wilson, a winner of Entertainer of the Year, and I'm not sure if that was from the same year, but Entertainer of the Year, New Artist, and Artist of the Year. One of the very few that has won the coveted Triple Crown Award for the ACM Music Awards. I'd say it's pretty decent.
Yeah, there was this. Any other show, you'd be like, "Oh yeah, she's got the momentum," but Grammys don't care about what Music Row wants.
Mm-mm.
They don't. They do not care. Remember, you have to remember the famous quote that the women are the tomatoes in the salad that is country music. They're just there for garnishing to make things look pretty.
Fuck that.
Tomatoes are my favorite part.
Well, apparently, yeah, but they make up the least amount of the salad, so
That's fair.
We need more women being treasured in country music and more tomatoes in those damn salads. It's both of these problems. Let's pivot real quick to a different second tier category, best rap performance. You will not at all be surprised to know that Not Like Us is one of the nominees in this category, but it's not the only nominee. And there are some powerhouses of today, of yesterday, and of the day before that we'll go through. We have Enough Miami from Cardi B. We have When the Sun Shines Again by Common and Pete Rock. Remember Pete Rock? Mm-hmm. Y'all youngins, go check him out. He's an absolute legend. Nissan Altima from Doechii, the Best New Artist nominee. Houdini by Eminem. Like That from Future, Metro Boomin, and Kendrick Lamar. So that means Kendrick Lamar nominated twice in this category. It's got to be nice, man. It's got to be nice to be Kendrick these days. And then rounding us out is Yeah Glow from Glorilla. Dan, I know you had talked about this category. Is this another one where Kendrick is just going to get the crown, or are we going to see a little bit of an upset?
I think so, and it might be kind of one of those sorry we didn't give you one of the bigger prizes kind of things. I think that's and it might just kind of be that silver medal, so to speak. But I can tell you what I would like to see. I would love to see the swerve be either When the Sun Shines Again or Nissan Altima, because they're both phenomenal songs in their own right, and for different reasons too. That's the best part. I mean, you knew Eminem was going to be there, even though that record is like half-ass, and not that it is half-assed, like he didn't put any effort into it. It's just literally half of the record is ass. Enough is so far from one of Cardi B's strongest that it really isn't there. And I tried to remember which track off of which track Like That was off of the Future Metro Boomin record, and I couldn't at all. Even with Kendrick, I could not remember which specific song it was. So I'm thinking no. And yeah, Glorilla will be sadly underrepresented in this one too.
Probably. I do think it's funny that the best rap performance, it was We Still Don't Trust You, was the Metro Boomin tune.
Thank you.
With The Weeknd on it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that one probably had a better shot at this category than Like That.
Yeah, actually, I found myself enjoying stuff off of We Still Don't Trust You more so than We Don't Trust You.
Yeah. Y'all just know how I feel about Future anyhow, so that one...
That's fair. That's fair, yeah. But again, also, like you said, Not Like Us will win. Be great to see if When the Sun Shines Again. That'd be great. That'd be very cool and odd.
Yeah, absolutely. Apologies to Postinos for me somehow overlooking that name when looking at the artist responsible for When the Sun Shines Again. Of course, 1/3 of the legendary Group De La Soul. I don't think that it's going to win necessarily, but it should. Just based on we're talking about like hip hop royalty there. Even Common, I would put him in hip hop royalty category.
Absolutely. God, he hasn't been in this and I'm gonna say it wrong, but I feel like his record from like 2003 was the last time he got a whole solid Grammy buzz, and I'd like to be wrong on that one as well.
Who, Common?
Yeah,
That is a really good question.
I know. We're looking at the exact same thing, I'm sure. And I'm probably going to eat those words. It's been one of those, like, he absolutely has been just putting out, something is nominated and nominated and nominated, and I missed.
Yeah, because he
Yep,
was.
lots of nominations. Only
Yeah.
several wins, but
I was going to say, because he was an Oscar nominee at one point, too.
Of course, South Side won.
Yeah.
Okay, and Love of My Life.
That was the last one that I can find.
No, Glory won back in 2016.
Oh, right.
That song with John Legend. Yeah, yep.
Did not know how I forgot about that.
Me neither. But yeah, I was like, he's been all over these, and I'm ashamed. Kind of criminal that only 3 wins after so many nominees. But anyway,
yeah, half of an EGOT there with the Oscar win too for Glory.
Right. I'm sure we could. I wouldn't be surprised that they don't try to get him apart in Nachos on Ice.
Nachos on. I mean, the phones are ringing off the hook. If you're interested in being a part of Nachos on Ice, please let us know. We will tell you how at the end of this episode. We have the connections. We can get you in.
The ice is cold, but the cheese is hot.
The ice is cold, but we have a hook.
It's
we
on the poster. Going on the poster.
As far off Broadway as you could possibly imagine, that's the only place you're going to see this show.
Yep.
One other quick category, and it's probably a little bit further down the list. This is one that you're probably not going to see at all, even mentioned during the broadcast. But just because I think it's pretty cool that we do have a category now as of 2023 for the best score soundtrack for video games and other interactive media. 20 years ago, this medium was a laughingstock in terms of being considered an actual medium of amazing people doing amazing things, whether it's, audio related, of course, that being the meat of the Grammy Awards, but also, visual effects and storytelling and voice acting, just the whole 9 yards. It is really cool as someone who's played video games for the majority of my life. I think many listeners and all of you host-wise would probably say the same. Yeah, it's cool to finally see that medium get its due. And no shortage of, big time categories and big time games showing up on 2025's version, including Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, God of War Ragnarok Valhalla, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Star Wars Outlaws, and Wizardry Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord. I will quickly give a shout out to the composer Bear McCreary, who is the only person to be nominated in each of the first 3 years of the category. As far as I can see, that's yet to win one. So is this Bear's year?
Given as that's the only name I could recognize, I would totally go with him. Absolutely.
I want to, and this is
the only name I've heard of.
He's probably one of the most prolific, like, film, TV, video game composers out there. Because in my day job, I do see a lot of his stuff come through. But I'd have to go back and check. If I knew we were talking about this, I would have double checked. I want to say this one, I'm sure the Grammy voters totally care about the Game Awards. Totally care. But I believe this might have won a Game Award for the score for the soundtrack. Fairly certain.
I would not be surprised. It did have 11 nominations at the Game Awards back in 2022. Back in 2022, it's that old?
Wow. No, Ragnarok is like the new one.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I think Ragnarok is the base game. Valhalla is a DLC, a downloadable content pack. So that came out in December of 23. I would not be surprised if the original Ragnarok, not the downloadable content, was also nominated, and in fact it was last year. This is just the downloadable content, which is interesting that warrants its own entry into the category. That's really interesting.
Well, I mean, if the base game, if that soundtrack was released back when we just had the one category for visual media at the Grammys, then maybe. And technically, it is new music. I mean, they do new music for these expansions.
To that point, that category, the best score soundtrack for visual media, there was only one game ever nominated prior to video games kind of getting their own spin-off, and that was the game Journey, that was nominated in 2013, and I believe did not win. Winning that year was the girl with the dragon tattoo, Atticus Ross, and someone named Trent Reznor, I believe. Reznor?
Who ever heard of that guy?
Well, who are also
idea.
well, at least they got a
Trent
Grammy nomination for challengers when they got shut out at the Oscars today.
Reznor. Trent Reznor. I don't know. Who do you ever beat?
Fuck him. Out of here, Trent. But before the four of us get shut down on this episode, we should probably tell y'all how to interact with us. Do you agree with our takes? Do you agree with Vegas's takes on the big four categories? Do you have something completely different? Are your favorite artists represented throughout the Grammys from the previous year? Or do you have some snubs that you maybe want to cover, since we didn't have time to get into any of those? Let your voice be heard, but only to us. Don't talk to anyone else about this. It is at Fairly KickAss on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. We are fairlykickass.com for your ride-along playlist. We will throw something together for this episode. I don't know if we're going to have the full shebang, but we might have the full shebang. You have to come and see. fairlykickass@gmail.com for your email correspondence, because we are all boomers, and yes, we still do use email. And of course, your only source for the Fairly Kick-Ass podcast is wherever you get it from. That's right. You can go to Apple Music. You can go to YouTube. You can go to Amazon Music. You can go to Spotify, which is coincidentally where the Ride Along playlist will be hosted from. You can go basically anywhere you get your podcasts and search for Fairly Kick-Ass. If we don't come up, let us know, and we will make sure that we get on your platform of choice so you could have us stream directly to your earballs, and we apologize in advance.
Thank you very much, and I hope we pass the audition.
Good night.